Hi everyone, I am Daniel, and once again, we have a new update to the mod. And before I go on, this is not the place to talk about where to get the mod. Literally go to any Discord, ask around, someone will help you out. The point of this video is just to give you some updates on how to use any of the new features. So let's get right into them. The first thing you're probably wondering is, hey, is there a way to get those new cards that are coming in the next core set? Yeah, so anything that has been previewed so far and will be previewed in the future will be in the mod in some way or another. The ones that are officially previewed from the announcement are in the mod now. The rest of them will be available in the downloads menu. So let's just take a look. Right now, all of the new cards are in this additional player cards box. You can look at those by clicking on the button here on the player card panel that is for additional cards. So they're all here. And the scans are not great because they're just from the announcement article, but that's okay. They work just fine. If you're looking for more that have been previewed later, then going over to downloadable content, it'll show up somewhere in here. Speaking of, the downloadable content has some interesting stuff to add to your play experience, and namely this language pack stuff that's going on in terms of campaigns and player cards. If you speak another language, you're more comfortable playing in another language, the mod has many more localization options for you. So if you're, for example, a German speaker, there's a lot of German translations. Those also go into this additional player cards box. It's inside this other box here, so boxes within boxes. And all those cards are going to be in there, but notably when you are going to be importing your deck from, say, Arkham DB or Arkham Build, those will automatically be replaced, those cards in English, from or with the ones that are in German. So you don't need to manually go through here and pick out the cards. It's just going to replace the ones in the importer. That's the same thing for playing campaigns. So you go here for the campaigns, and these are going to go into this encounter cards box, and these will replace all of the cards that are in different encounter sets. Next, you can also change the user interface into a different language. Again, over to the options menu in the bottom right. This one is up higher. I guess we were down at the bottom already. Right at the top, UI language. We can switch this into any of these languages. They're not complete for everything, but here's, say, for example, Korean. Everything now you should be able to read better, and all the options and the menus, the tooltips, as well as the stuff on the player mats will be in Korean. If you want to be involved with the translations, let us know. We can always use people who want to change things and make things work better in your language. While we're over here, I should also mention there's another way to replace encounter cards, specifically with the card Ancient Evils, everyone's favorite card. These are some fan-created versions of a kind of whole art frame. They're kind of nice, one for each of the different campaigns. If you want to put them into your next playthrough of, say, Path to Carcosa, you can throw this one in to this box, and it'll replace every encounter card that is Ancient Evils with that card. So that is neat. Check them out. They're kind of fun. Let's continue and talk about some investigator changes. We have a new Lola in here. So if you want to be playing with parallel Lola, we have her cards here. So there's two versions, of course. There's the full parallel front and back. And then since you can do mix and match, there's parallel front, regular back, and regular front, parallel back. We're using the taboo for these stitched together kinds. That's okay. If you want to do a different way, you can make it work. Beyond her earlier signature cards and then the tabooed versions as well, we do have new signatures for her. There's 5 new events. This leading lady card, which one for each class, different colors, very nice. And then Samuel Blake for her weakness. Okay, so play with the new Lola. Now, no matter which Lola you're playing with, she's going to come with a special die to help you indicate which role you're in. So it's got all the different faces for the different classes. So if you want to go to Rogue, you can press 3. If you can hover over here and kind of learn what the numbers are, or you can just right-click and change it to the right one. It'll hover over and tell you which one it is. But You'll learn that pretty quick if you're playing her. That just lets you tell everyone which role you're in. Okay, while we're here, let's take a look at a new option that you have for controlling what happens with the tokens that are the uses on different cards. So right now, normally when you put down, say, the 45 automatic, it comes in with 4 tokens to show the different ammo. And there's a nice little image here that shows ammo. And if you don't like this, if you want, for example, this to be a resource counter, just like the one that's over here in the bottom right of your player mat, there is a way to change that over in the global settings. So you click down over here, check for use clickable resource tokens and set that to enabled. And now what happens is you get a nice little counter here. So you can make this go up and down to show how many different uses you have on here. It's still ammo, but it's the different uses. That is one thing you can do, but if you do that from the options panel over here, it changes that setting for everyone you're playing with. If you, for example, want it this way, but your friend doesn't want it that way, they want the 4 different tokens to spawn, instead you can go over to the player mat settings over here and make sure that the use resource counters option down here is going to be enabled, or let's say that globally it's enabled and you want it to be disabled, you can change this so it doesn't match what it is in the global options. So for example, if you just want the different tokens but everyone else wants the counters, you can go to disabled, and now we get the 4 different tokens again. One other thing you can do, of course, is you can change now, this is a new thing for this version of the mod, is you can change the images themselves to be not the custom ammo here or secrets or whatever else it is, but make this instead the original resource tokens themselves. So if you just want to have that for everything, you can change this in your player mat settings, or for globally, you can do it as well for toggling on and off this use custom resource images slider here. One more thing unrelated to the tokens themselves, but still on this personal settings player mat panel here, is showing the token splash screen. So you may be familiar that there is an option now also to show this enlarged token on the screen. So when you take a chaos token out, it shows right here in the middle of the screen in case you're not able to see or it's too small, or maybe your camera is over here but someone else drew a token. So that's really cool. I really like this feature, and it also tells you what the modifier is for the symbols. You can hover over here and press a number if you want how many tokens. They're all going to show up on the top here, I think up to 5. Anyway, if this is something that you like but maybe your friends don't, once again, there is a way to override which of the tokens you're seeing. So you can have it show the same as whatever it says in global. You can have it always show. Own tokens is just show your tokens. Others tokens just show other people's tokens, or never show it at all is a setting you can have as well. Remember, the default is global, and the global default setting is never show this at all either. So make sure you're thinking about, does this match or not match what I'm seeing in global? Again, this is a good thing if your friends like something but you don't, or vice versa. You can change what your own personal settings are. Some new helpers to talk about. One really simple one is the Dark Horse helper. This just allows you to skip the automatic resource that you get on upkeep. So you can go ahead and click that. It turns it on. So now when I hit upkeep, it doesn't update the number of resources I have because I'm choosing to skip them. Note that you can draw the card and then decide not to take the resource. This is just sort of a shorthand for remembering that you might not want the resource in the first place, or if you're just really not interested in taking the resources ever again in that particular game. You can, turn this on and off as you will. Very simple. Next, we have a good weather helper. So this is a card that you get to choose a skill at the beginning of the investigation phase, and everyone gets +2 to that chosen skill. This does nothing on its own, but when you put it out, say, in the Mythos area or wherever you want, you can just click to remind everyone, hey, it's intellect. Everyone has +2 to intellect. And then you can be done with this card at the next investigation phase. Now, that's been co-opted for a Charlie Kane helper entirely, and you can click on Charlie Kane himself in order to helpfully calculate skill bonuses for his ability. If you don't know, he has an ability that if you exhaust an asset, an ally asset that you control, you get +1 skill value plus initial +1 for each skill icon that ally asset has that matches the test type. So go ahead and click on what the type is. Let's say you're investigating, might be this one, and now you can exhaust your allies to get bonuses. So you always have a base of 1, right? If you exhaust the guard dog, right, we should get +1 to that, +1 over here. And Leo DeLuca, who has an intellect icon, will give us a +2. So we have +3 altogether. Now there's some little handy undo buttons. If you don't really want to exhaust this guy, you click the exhaust button by mistake, or maybe you thought, what number do I really need to beat from the chaos bag? And then you click here and say, well, actually, I don't need that. You can press the undo button and it gets rid of it. Once you're all done, you can press the end skill test. All those labels go away. Bonnie Walsh complicates things a little bit. She has an ability after you exhaust Bonnie Walsh, ready another ally asset you control once per round. So if you're, again, let's do a combat test this time, and we want to exhaust her, we press exhaust her, but then we want to ready someone else. You could just, use the normal readying, but it's better for you to do this because you might want to exhaust someone more than once. So press here, and now we can ready and exhaust ally, and then use it to contribute to this skill test. Again, when you're all done, hit end. Another addition to the mod is ability to spawn the attachment helper when you're putting out a new card. So for example, backpack, people often use the attachment helper to put cards onto backpack, or at least underneath them. In order for this to work, you're going to need to turn on the attachment helper, and that will be down here in the settings. And instead of dragging something over here every time, instead what you can do when you play the card, you can right click it to spawn a helper, and it gives you a little mini version of the attachment helper. It's going to match the art for the card that it just found underneath it, and now you can look at, say, the top 12. Now I like to also have the search helper on for this because it is helpful for searching through your deck. And let's see, we have items we're looking for, so like a machete, maybe this old book of lore, magnifying glass. Shuffle these back in, and now we can drop them all in onto that helper, and they're there to pick up later. This is also going to be true for investigators that get an attachment helper, such as Safina. This one, again, you can right click on her card and it gets you a little version on top of her, because these are going to be cards that are beneath her. Essentially, this is a way to keep a little bit of the clutter out of the play area. And speaking of clutter, we've heard from many of you that having additional slots in your player mat would be really good. You can now do this. Go for the options, and we're going to have Playermat Extension enabled. It's giving us a little bag down here for an unlimited number of Playermat extensions. These are going to be automatically linked to the player mat that is most closely linked to, or most closely dropped near. But you can always right click to this and choose link to my mat in case it's somewhere else that was unexpected. Look at the description down here to show that it's linked to white right now. This is the white player mat always, so that is a nice thing to have here. So you can put any cards over there. I like to lock them down just to make sure that they don't move around, but I can put the 45 automatic over here. It's going to spawn the tokens just as if they were here. If I also have something like a Runic Axe, which I believe is in the deck over here, we can get the replenish happen on it just as it would normally. So there's our tokens. We're going to use a few of them, and then upkeep should give us one more. Perfect. You can have as many as you want. It starts with a default of 8 extra slots. That's probably plenty. If you have more assets than that, then I don't know what your deck size is, or how you have actions to play them all, but you know what? Sometimes you have a lot of permanent cards and you want to use them, or you get some story assets in play. So this is a nice little feature to add to your user experience. Okay, last 2 things to talk about for this update for the mod. And the first one is the table layout feature. You've probably seen this before, but there are a number of presets for your table layout. So this classic 4-player look is by just leaving it on the default here, but there are other versions. We can have 4 players, but they are now kind of on the sides of the main playmat. And one that I like to use is this rotated 2-player format, which moves the Mythos area over here to make it a little bit easier when I'm doing recording to have everything in here. Now, if you want to make changes beyond the particular presets we have here, there is a customize table layout button now, which requires that you know a little bit about coding, but not too much. You can do some copying and pasting from existing layouts to make some more modifications. So the way this works is that you have a couple different things that could be transformed. For example, the Mythos area has been moved to this location and rotated this way. If we want it rotated back the other direction, I can change that 180 to 270 and confirm. Here it is. Of course, this is not the location it should be because it's overlapping with the playmat, but I could then move it again a bit. If you want to, for example, bring back a third player mat over on this side, we can do that by, what I would do is go back to the classic 4-player mode and see what it shows me about what the coordinates are in the rotation for this player mat. And I can do that by, again, hitting customize. This is the mat configuration that we have right now. It'll always show you the code for that mat. And it's the green mat, or I think it's the green mat. Is it the green mat or the red mat? Well, let's find out. I believe it might be the red mat, actually, now that I think about it. And I'm just going to copy all of this for the red mat. And by the way, there's other ways to find out the coordinates. You can use this gizmo tool over here to do that. But let's just copy it from the code here. And then what I'm going to do is go back to our rotated 2-player, and let's move the token arranger and the victory display out of the way. And let's try to add that mat back in. I'm just going to paste it in right after here, and let's see what happens. All right, I moved the victory display and the token arranger back, of course, because those are in the settings as well, but we can move them away. And there you go. Now you have the rotated version, but with that third player mat still here. Again, if you want to change the rotation of this one, you can do that. You can move it out a little bit further. Whatever you want to do, you can play around with this. Again, the layout here will always be whatever the current one is, but it's the current one that was chosen from the table layout. If you want to see what the configuration is that you last selected, you can hit this button in the middle for load last configuration. And if you really like it, you can just copy this whole thing into like a notepad document, save it, and then you can always go back and paste this in when you open up a new save. In the future, we might make this a little bit more intuitive and not have to go through all the coding, but this does allow you to change anything to your heart's desire and figure out something that works well for you. Last thing I'm going to show you is there's an additional scripting with the tarot deck. So we've got two versions of the tarot deck over here. There's just the tarot deck. This is used for some of the weaknesses, and there's one permanent card, Observe, that also uses it, as well as just a way to spice up any campaign that you might want to play. This is just the tarot deck. There's nothing special going on with these cards. The one thing that you may not know that's been there all along is there's a way to reverse these. If you right click and do rotate card plus preview, it'll rotate the whole thing, and it's easier to see in the alt preview the reversed particular effect at the bottom. Normally, if you just rotate the card, let's put this back, like this, then you're still going to get the wrong direction for this preview. I guess we had it in the right direction here so far. Not defeated may remove, right? And we want it to be rotated the other way, right? Defeated does suffer trauma. Okay. So that's just sort of the basic tarot deck. But there's also a scripted tarot deck, which is just in a bag. And this allows you to do some extra things. Some of these have been here before, some of them have not. So if you want to do, for example, the Accept Your Fate from Circle and Done, it'll give you all of the different tarot cards in the right order. Well, you have to reverse some 4 of them, but it gives you all the right tarot cards. And then we can put them all back. If you want to make them larger, you can click this toggle large tarot. And now if we do that same thing, Accept Your Fate, they're a lot bigger and maybe easier for you to see or manage. Again, we can put them all back in. They're going to just be in their smaller versions when they're in here. Even if you rotate them or anything like that, they'll go back to normal. But what's new is you can do the observed or damned reading as well. So let me get those cards out. Okay, so if you have, say, observed, this one is before setting up the game, draw 3 random cards in the tarot deck, choose one. So we can do that. Now we can spawn the tarot deck by right-clicking the card. This gets us a new one, and then it automatically does the reading for us. So there's the 3, and we get to choose which one we want, and then we can put the other 2 back, for example. Now, if I mean, theoretically, you should be only using one tarot deck. You shouldn't be spawning these over and over again, but you could do the same thing for Damned. It'll spawn a new tarot deck. But what is probably better is that you just use the same bag so you don't reuse this tarot. And then we can right click this one and use Damned. And this time it'll automatically give us the reverse side because that's what Damned does. It's just you get the random card, put it into reverse position. And there it is. Your investigator gets -1 sanity. That's basically it for these. Again, if you're sharing tarot cards across the campaign, you should probably just use the same bag. If not, you can always spawn a new one, or if you accidentally delete them, you can always spawn a new one this way and get, for Damned, it'll always give you Damned. You can also get new ones from that bag that was over in the right corner. That is about it for the mod updates so far. Let me look at my list here. I think we've covered everything that's new. Always going to be new things appearing. Eventually, there'll be more related to this core set 2026 different cards, as well as how we're going to integrate them in the mod might be a little different. But we're always willing to have contributions, suggestions about what makes your Arkham Horror playing life a little bit easier. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.